Hello. Jonas Edward Salk from October 28, 1914 to June 23, 1995 was an American physician, medical researcher, and a virologist who developed one of the fastest successful polio vaccines. He was born in New York City and attended the City College of New York and the New York University School of Medicine, later choosing to do medical research instead of becoming a practicing physician. He began an internship as a physician scientist at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City in 1939. 2 years later, he was granted a fellowship at the University of Michigan, where he studied flu viruses with his mentor Thomas Francis Jr. Polio was considered one of the most frightening public health problems in the world until 1955, when the Salk vaccine was introduced, and the epidemics were increasingly devastating in the post-war United States. The 1952 US epidemic was the worst outbreak in the nation's history, as 3,145 people died and 21,269 were left with mild to disabling paralysis, most of its victims being children. The public reaction was to a balgo, said historian William L. O'Neill, according to a 2009 PBS documentary, A Party from the Atomic Bomb. America's greatest fear was polio. As a result, scientists were in frantic race to find a way to prevent or cure the disease. In 1947, Salk accepted an appointment to the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. In 1948, he undertook a project funded by the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis to determine the number of different types of poliovirus. Salk saw an opportunity to extend this project towards developing a vaccine against polio, and he gathered a research team and devoted himself to this work for the next 7 years. The field trial set up to test the Salk vaccine was, according to O'Neill, the most elaborate program of its kind in history, involving 20,000 physicians and public health officers, 64,000 school personnel, and 220,000 volunteers. Over 1.8 million school children took part in the trial. News was made public of the vaccine's success on April 12, 1955, and the Salk was hailed as a miracle worker, and the day almost became a national holiday. An immediate rush to vaccinate began around the world, with countries beginning polio immunization campaigns using Salk's vaccine, including Canada, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, West Germany, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Belgium. Salk campaigned for mandatory vaccination, claiming that public health should be considered a moral commitment. In 1960, he founded the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in La Chula, California, which is today a center for medical and scientific research. He continued to conduct research and publish books, and his last years were spent searching for a vaccine against HIV. His personal papers are stored at the University of California, San Diego Library. In 1947, Salk became ambitious for his own lab and was granted one at the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. But the lab was smaller than he had hoped, and he found the rules imposed by the university restrictive. In 1948, Harry Weaver, the director of research at the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis, contacted Salk. He asked Salk to find out if there were more types of polio than the 3 then known, offering additional space, equipment, and researchers. For the first year, he gathered supplies and researchers including Julius Jungner, Byron Pinnett, Louis James Lewis, and the secretary Lorianne Friedman joined Salk's team as well. As time went on, Salk began securing grants from the Milton family and was able to build a working virology laboratory. He later joined the National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis polio project established by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Extensive publicity and the fear of polio led to much increased funding, $67 million by 1955, but research continued on dangerous live vaccines. Between years 85 to 87, Salk decided to use the safer killed virus instead of weakened forms of strains of poliovirus like the one is used contemporarily by Alberti Sapin, who was developing an oral vaccine. After successful tests on laboratory animals, on July 2, 1952, as tested by the staff of the D.T. Waston Home for Crippled Children, Salk injected 43 children with his killed virus vaccine. A few weeks later, Salk injected children at the Polk State School for retarded and feeble-minded. In 1954, he tested the vaccine on about 1 million children, known as the polio virus. The vaccine was announced as safe on April 12, 1955. The project became large, involving 100 million contributors to the March of Dimes and 7 million volunteers. The foundation allowed itself to go into debt to finance the final research required to develop the Salk vaccine. Salk worked incessantly for 2.5 years. Salk's inactivated polio vaccine was the first vaccine for the disease. It came into use in 1955. It is on the World Health Organization's list of essential medicines, the safest and the most effective medicines needed in a health system. Thank you, Mr. Jonas Edward Salk. You saved the life of billions of children around the world.